Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Roseville City Council and Housing Authority meeting of April 2nd, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask our clerk to please call the roll.
We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Albert.
Here.
Councilmember Haudeshelt.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Here.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Here, thank you. I'd like to ask Police Officer Ched Chiardi if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to ask our clerk to please announce the meeting procedures.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Roseville City Council meeting and Housing Authority. Agendas are available at the end of the staff table to your right or online on our city's website. All comments from the public should be directed to the City Council and not to any staff member or the audience. All speakers must speak from the podium as this meeting is being recorded. For items that are not on the agenda, members of the public may address the City Council regarding any item that is not listed on tonight's agenda and must be within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Public comment will be limited to 25 minutes for the first segment, and each speaker will have 3 minutes. If the time limitation is reached in the first segment, individuals will have a second opportunity to address the City Council just prior to council comments at the end of the meeting. The Brown Act does prohibit our City Council from discussing, debating, or taking action on items that are not listed on the agenda. For those items that are appearing on tonight's agenda, the Brown Act does allow for the public to comment on all of the items listed on the agenda. Speakers will have 5 minutes to make their comments on the particular agenda that is being discussed by the council. Time will be monitored, and once the red light begins to blink at the podium, we ask that the speaker please conclude their comments. The City Council encourages public participation and requests that you please be courteous during the meeting. Lastly, if addressing the City Council tonight, please consider stating your name for the record. With that, welcome to the City of Roseville and our City Council meeting.
Thank you for that. Tonight we have one presentation. We have a proclamation for Fair Housing Month for April 2025, and I will go to the podium and we'll start off with the presentation. Good evening. I will take turns reading the proclamation, and you can have a chance if you want. Okay. So on behalf of Fair Housing Month for April 2025, we'd just like to present you with a proclamation, and my colleagues will start us off.
Whereas adequate housing is a basic need and right of all people, and this year we celebrate the 57th anniversary of the enactment of the Federal Fair Housing Act of 1968, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act, which states that discrimination in the sale and rental of housing is illegal when based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, and
Whereas the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988 extends fair housing rights on the basis of familial status to families with children and on the basis of handicapped disabled persons, and
Whereas California statutes additionally protect citizens on the basis of age, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity, and source of income, and California celebrates the 65th anniversary of the Fair Employment and Housing Act, and
Whereas the City of Roseville supports fair housing efforts to eliminate discrimination in housing and recognizes the benefits of Project Sentinel to educate home seekers, apartment managers, and apartment owners on federal and state housing laws, and to investigate complaints of illegal housing discrimination in Roseville,
And whereas to heighten public awareness, the City of Roseville wishes to focus public attention on April as Fair Housing Month. So on behalf of the City Council, I do hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Fair Housing Month and encourage all residents and community organizations to celebrate the value of harmonious, inclusive, and diverse communities for neighbors and to support the goal of equal housing opportunity for all people. Congratulations. Thank you for being here tonight. The floor is yours if you want to say a few words, and if you want to get a picture too, we can do that too. I should just make sure.
sure.
Hi, good evening, City Council. My name is Avantika Rao, Fair Housing Staff Attorney at Project Sentinel. And on behalf of the landlords and tenants, we're one of the rare agencies that work on both sides, and a lot of times we're able to find that middle ground and secure and stabilize people in their housing, which at this moment in time, in April 2025, we know is very, very priceless to people. So thank you for your support as the city. And I'm here with my great team from the Sacramento region, Akila and Joshua. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I heard you say, did you want a picture real quick?
Yes.
Okay, with the whole council, or what are your wishes?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, if you want to just do that, but we'll just take a picture of you with the council in the background.
Okay, we'll go real quickly.
We come
We'll
down.
go.
We move.
Okay.
Steps in.
Yeah, but I forget when I don't have a package to bring my.
Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. We will jump into public comments, and now is the, do you want to? Okay, now it's time for public comments. Is there anyone here tonight that wishes to address any item that is not on the council? I'm sorry, on the agenda, thank you. Okay, so if there's no one, we will close public comment, and we will
To consent.
move to consent.
Thank you. So at this time, all matters on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one motion of the City Council. There will be no discussion on consent calendar items unless a member of the City Council staff or a member of the public requests that a specific item be pulled for further discussion. At this time, neither council or staff has made such a request. Is there any member of the public that would like to pull an item for discussion? Okay, seeing none, we do have, however, two requests to make a comment on item 7.11. So at this time, we have two, if you'd like to go ahead and call them.
Dave Peaches, you want to come forward?
Yes, please. Thank you.
After, we'll do Mary Tess.
I'm Dave Peaches. I'm the president of the Downtown Roseville Partnership, and it's a pleasure to see most of you. Good evening, Mayor Berlusconi and the rest of you. I'm here just tonight because we are in the consent calendar, and we just want to thank the city of Roseville for the continued partnership with our partnership. We like that word partnership, and to make our downtown a better place. We work with the downtown between the area of Royer Park and the railroad, boundaries in those directions, and also between Folsom Boulevard and Douglas. And it's my pleasure tonight to, I'd like you to acknowledge the rest of my board here from the Downtown Partnership. I'm just going to ask them to stand up, if you don't mind, many of our board members. We have a hardworking board, and we'd like to thank you again. Amongst the things you do for us, you bring us Wayne Wiley to participate and be a great liaison. He's also on our board. And also Gina McCall. Both of them have been endless help to us in helping us make our projects a success. Mary Tess is going to come up here. Mary Tess? Yeah. Okay. And you probably know her better than you know anybody. Anyway, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Mary Tess Mayall. I am the Executive Director at Blue Line Arts and proud board member of the Downtown Roseville Partnership. I just want to express my sincere gratitude for your continued service and dedication to making Roseville a vibrant, welcoming, and thriving community. I'd also like to acknowledge the meaningful progress shared in the Downtown Roseville Partnership Annual Report, item 7.11. And I want to also give a special shout out to Wayne Wiley and Gina McCall for being amazing liaisons. Since 2019, funding, much of it made possible through the property owner support and the City of Roseville, has helped bring numerous murals to life in this downtown area. These public art investments have really enhanced our streets and played a vital role in not only supporting artists, but also increasing foot traffic and fostering a sense of pride in our community. As Blue Line Arts approaches its 60th anniversary in 2026, we are excited to continue our collaboration with the Downtown Roseville Partnership to bring even more murals to the area in the year ahead. Together, we're committed to growing arts and cultural tourism in the downtown area, creating a deeper sense of belonging and community pride. And thank you so much for your continued partnership and leadership in this area.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, and thank you all for being here tonight. It is certainly a partnership.
Okay, with that, the City Council will consider the consent calendar items 7.1 through 7.14. With that, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Elbert.
Yes.
Councilmember Haldeshell.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Thank you. All matters pass.
Thank you. Next up, we have item 8.1, Roseville Power Plant Number 2 Repower Project.
Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi, members of council. Sean Matcham, your Chief Operating Officer for Roseville Electric Utility. Here with me this evening is our Assistant Director over Resources, Bill Forsyth, our Assistant Director over Engineering, Chris Porter, and we brought this evening support from our City Attorney's Office, Joe Mandel, on this one. I just want to make a few opening remarks before the presentation on this item here. We have a meaningful item here tonight for the department, and an item that we're very excited to recommend the City Council's approval of. It really represents the culmination of work that started back over a year ago now, involving many divisions in our department, many folks across other departments in the city. And there was a real strong press over the last 6 months to get us to a point this evening where we're comfortable and prepared to make an important recommendation to you tonight of approval. It is a $46 million initiative that we call the Roseville Power Plant Number 2 Repower Project. And the repower term there for us is an industry term that's relevant for replacing old equipment with new equipment at power plants. And that's what this initiative is doing for us. We are going to bring in new equipment, and upgrade what is one of our locally owned and operated generating resources here just north of the city boundaries. There are a number of items that were included on the council communications for this and the briefing packet, and we will step through all the major items for you this evening and answer your questions and really outline what the path ahead looks like for this project. But the one thing I want to highlight before getting into the presentation, and this is notable, what we're proposing this evening continues an important relationship that we established with the California Department of Water Resources maybe 4 or 5 years ago, as you recall, when they cited emergency generators adjacent to our Roseville Energy Park. That created a lot of opportunity, a lot of benefits ultimately that came to the electric department and the city. And so we're very excited to continue that relationship with DWR. We've benefited from a team at DWR that has been just tremendous to deal with, solutions-oriented, and has allowed us to tailor a package tonight that we're recommending that strikes the balance between what is important for them as a state and what is important for us as an electric department as we look to serve this community into the future. And so you'll hear more details about it, but what we're proposing will make our generation fleet better. It will position us better to serve the community going forward. And again, we're very excited to discuss this with you this evening. So with that, I'll turn it over to Bill, Chris, and Joe, and they'll tag team the presentation this evening, and then certainly we'll have an opportunity to answer questions on this item once they wrap up. So with that, Bill, I'll turn it over to you.
Next slide, please. Okay, Roseville Power Plant 2 is located in Placer County. It's just south of Sunset Boulevard and just north of Blue Oaks. Driving around Roseville, you'll never see this power plant. And the new Placer 1 development will be immediately adjacent to the north of this facility. So what RPP2 is we have 2 peaking units there. Their combined output is 48 megawatts. This plant was constructed by Northern California Power Agency in 1987, so it's about 40 years old, speaking to the life, how old it is that Sean's mentioning. And we purchased this plant from NCPA in 2010. So this plant is very important, especially in the summer, for meeting our community needs, for meeting our summer reliability. And we have been spending a lot of money on this existing facility, and to keep this facility, we're going to be spending a lot of capital in the future to keep it running. So where this all started was the Department of Water Resources back in a year ago. They put out a request for information. When we put the units, the emergency generators, next to the REP, DWR had also put a matching set of generators up in Yuba City. So they're seeking to relocate the Yuba City generators. So in their RFI, they were looking for suitable locations, and what's suitable is a location that has existing infrastructure. So has gas, has water, has interconnection. You've heard previously about transformers. Certain items like that are very long lead time, and if you're having to set up a site and go order those components, that's going to take many years. So they're looking for a more or less a turnkey site. So what we proposed to DWR was we used the RPP2 site. We have all the existing infrastructure, and another key element for the state was they want to get through the summer, and then they want all this reconstruction to take place during the winter, so that the new location for these generators they'll be up and able to support the next summer. So some of you may recall in October 2024, we brought a series of contracts to you, and one element was for us to dig deeper with the state and to really run to ground if we did have a viable site, something that would work for us and the state. DWR ended up selecting Roseville as the best site to do this, and as Sean pointed out, it really does build on a great relationship we've had with them for the last few years. So why would we want to replace old with new? First of all, these generators are going to add capacity, so it's going to better help us meet the community needs going forward. Instead of us redirecting and spending all this money on old units, we can make investments in new units. This is going to standardize our fleet. So we have the 2 generators we took ownership of back in November from DWR. These are identical units. So we're going to have 4 units, completely identical, all the same equipment. And it's going to provide a lot of operational flexibility. These units are faster starting. They can do short runs, long runs. They can be restarted shortly thereafter. They're cleaner, they're more efficient, more reliable. These units that were built in '87 don't have any emissions equipment. These new units are going to have emissions equipment. So the local air quality is going to be much better versus sticking with the old. So some of the key contract terms. DWR is going to handle picking the units up and delivering them to Roseville. Roseville is going to manage all the decommissioning of the existing site, and all the installation, the repowering of these units. A key element, so as you can imagine, we're going to take 48 megawatts and it's coming out of our supply stack. So a key thing we negotiated with the state was that we could take advantage of the energy and capacity benefits on those hot days when we really need this capacity. So the state needs these on, not just when Roseville vitally needs them, but they also need them on if some other part of the state is having an emergency. So what we came to was, we'll support the broader grid. We'll use them when Roseville vitally needs them, but kind of the key takeaway is these are going to be the last generators we turn on. We're going to turn everything else on first. We're going to turn these on last, and these will be the first generators we turn off. Another aspect of it is we're going to, and I know there's going to be a little more discussion on the financial terms, but Roseville and DWR, we're going to share in the installation costs. I mean, Roseville is going to pay the lion's share to do this siting. And then at the end of the term, there's going to be a financial contribution by Roseville to DWR in consideration for the value of all the equipment they're delivering to the site. So our contract term would be, if you approve, it'll be April 2025 to November 2029. So all those terms, how we use them during those years. Then we would take ownership of them. It's not an option. We will be taking ownership of them in 2029. But we did negotiate a non-binding provision where us and DWR will talk about this in 2028 and may negotiate an earlier buyout at a price to be negotiated.
So to build on a little bit of what Bill's already talked about, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the project itself. So the scope of work, we talked about what a repower is. What this really looks like to the site is basically everything on site with the exception of there's a warehouse and the 2 large transformers. Basically everything else will be removed from the site and returned to bare dirt. From there, we'll install new foundations. All the infrastructure will be installed on the new site. And in addition to the work that's required to get these units operational, we're taking advantage of this particular construction window to do 2 what we would call optional items. One being installing gas compressors. Those are critical to us because they'll allow the generators to operate more efficiently. And additionally, we don't have any control of the line pressure, gas pressure coming into the site from PG&E. And so when they work on the gas lines, the pressure can very often be reduced below the level where these things will be able to run without the compressors. So this will give us more reliability to run the units at any time, regardless of what's happening with PG&E's distribution system. The other item we're going to take advantage of is the 60 kV switchyard that this facility will be connected to that gets it into the rest of the grid. We're going to rebuild that as well. That's also 40-plus-year-old equipment out there. It's reaching end of life, and this is something we could come back to do later, but the economies of scale of having the equipment and the construction personnel on site at the same time is a good opportunity to get it done. And additionally, if we did this outside this, we'd have to come back and do it in a couple of years anyways. It would require us a 3 to 4 month outage at minimum to complete this work. And so we're going to complete it when we're going to be down anyways. So it makes more sense for us to complete that work now. So when we talk about the work itself, we kind of divided this thing up between there's contractual work and there's internal resources. We don't have the staff to support doing all this work. We also don't employ heavy construction laborers and to have all that construction equipment. So a large portion of this project was included in an RFP for design build. And some items like the construction of the 60 kV switchyard and the design of that, we will handle with internal resources as we do have staff to support that. With respect to the design build RFP, back in November of last year, we issued an RFP for the design build of the majority of this project. We received 2 bids, one from IEC Corporation and one from TTS Construction Corporation. And after careful evaluation of the bids, we determined that IEC Corporation was the best capable of providing the best value to the city for successful completion of this project. Additionally, as part of this project, we also don't have the internal staff resources available to do all the detailed design review of the drawing submittals, support the construction and oversee construction on site. So we'll be hiring an owner's engineer. We'll reach out to it. We'll get a hold of a firm that has very vast experience with this type of work for that particular portion. We will be, if all goes well, we will begin construction on October 1st of this year. At the same time, concurrently, as Bill mentioned, these units are currently located in Yuba City. DWR will also be undertaking off-site activities to uninstall those units and package them up for shipment to Roseville. And then if the project goes well, the anticipated commercial operation date is June 1st, and that's what we've contractually obligated ourselves to with this deal with DWR. Next slide. So along with the construction work, there's several items that are also needed in order to accomplish this repower effort. And we have kind of three main agencies with some potential jurisdiction over this work. The first one we'll talk about is the City of Roseville itself. We are the lead agency when it comes to the CEQA process. Through a review of the project, we determined that this activity is qualified for a notice of exemption under two different categories. The first one being Class 2, which is the replacement and reconstruction of existing structures on the existing site. And they have to have substantially the same purpose and capacity of the existing units. So we check that box by all the construction will occur within the fence line. We're not expanding the property at all to do this work. And Bill had mentioned earlier, we are increasing the capacity at the site from 48 megawatts to about 67. While that sounds like a lot, since this is part of a larger interconnected electrical system, the actual increase in capacity to our total system is only about 1%. And additionally, and maybe more importantly, it qualifies for a Class 8 exemption, which is actions taken to ensure the enhancement and protection of the environment. As Bill also mentioned, the current units operate uncontrolled. There's no emissions control systems at all. And the byproduct of combustion engines is major pollutants that contribute to smog and poor air quality. These new units are equipped with an oxidation catalyst and a selective catalyst reduction system that will greatly reduce these pollutants. The second agency in play here is the California Energy Commission. Currently, the RPP2 facility is not under their jurisdiction, as when it was installed, it had a nameplate value of 48 megawatts, which was under their 50 megawatt threshold. We submitted them the design details of what we were planning on doing, and they did determine that the increase in capacity does not rise to the threshold of making this a jurisdictional item. Why this is important to us is if it was a jurisdictional item for CEC, the process to prepare an application and get certification from them would take well over 12 months, and we would have no chance of meeting a June 1 online date. The final agency that has major play in this operation is the Placer County Air Pollution Control District. Currently, so they're their local agency that's responsible for the air quality in the region. Because of the lack of emissions controls on the current units, they're only allowed to operate a combined 900 hours. But by adding the emissions controls, we'll be able to operate more hours and with much less emissions, even with a higher level of operating hours. The good news on this front, kind of like the being non-jurisdictional with the CEC, is that even with the increased hours, we will not trigger an EPA Title V major source threshold, which is also important because the process also to obtain a Title V permit is well in excess of 12 months as well. All right, so as we talk about what this project costs, and Sean had mentioned it at the beginning of the presentation, total cost to us is about $46 million, but we'll step through how we get to $46 million. So the base project with the IEC design build contract is about $33 million. The two optional items I discussed earlier, the 60 kV switchyard and gas compressors, are expected to cost about $6 million. And then hiring an owner's engineer and all of our internal labor and the equipment that Roseville is going to directly procure is about another $4 million, getting us to a $43 million. We're planning on about a 5% contingency in there of $2 million for a total of 45. And I'm going to skip ahead to some of the points on here just so you can understand where the 46 comes from. So the 45, as Sean mentioned, we will be getting a contribution to help us do the construction from DWR of $8 million with a future buyout in the end of term of $9 million. So that delta there is $1 million, bringing us to a total of $46 million. These funds are available within the cash from the current electric fund. We will be reallocating $17 million from other capital budgets, and that's part of the request tonight. And the remainder of the budget necessary to do this project will be requested in future year budgets. We also are reserving the right, but not an obligation, to bond this project in the future to allow us access to different ways to finance this work.
Next slide, please. Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi and members of council. Joe Mandel from the City Attorney's Office. There's no pictures on this slide, so I guess we're at the serious part now. So before you, we have multiple items that we're requesting council take formal action on tonight. And again, Roseville Electric is very pleased to be bringing all these items to you tonight for your approval. I'm going to walk through a few of these items right now, but there's going to be a very detailed motion that the clerk will read later after we answer questions for the council. But what we are asking council for formally tonight is to take action on the following items that are up on the screen. So the first one is going to be approve the creation of a new capital improvement project for the Roseville Power Plant number 2 repower. The second item we're asking you to approve is an amended site use agreement with the California Department of Water Resources. We're also asking that you approve an amended operations and maintenance agreement with the California Department of Water Resources. The next item we're asking for is approval of a design build contract with Integrated Engineers and Contractors Corporation doing business as IEC for the decommissioning of the equipment, the design and preparation of the site, and the installation and commission at the RPP2 site. We're also asking for a resolution declaring the city's intention to reimburse expenditures in the event that we do issue bonds in the future for this project. As well as requesting that council adopt an ordinance for a $17 million budget adjustment. So all those are formal actions that we're requesting tonight, and unless anybody up here has anything to add, we're happy to answer any questions.
I just want to add one thing maybe before opening up to questions. I want to thank the many folks in our department that were a part of this. Some of them are here on the dais, but this type of transaction we don't take lightly. We bring a lot of people to the table internal to our organization to make sure this makes sense for us. So I want to thank all those involved. Some of them are here in the chamber. And then also want to thank our city attorney's office. Joe has been integrated with the electric department pretty heavily over the last 6 months. And then I think we even reached out to some other departments and support in development services with regard to some of the environmental work. So just wanted to thank everyone for that, and also thank Dan, our CEO. He's been pretty flexible and gave us a wide lane to operate here in terms of trying to be nimble and make this happen for the city. So I want to thank everyone before we go into questions.
Thank you for that, Sean. Definitely a team effort. I'd like to open up to the council. Does the council have any questions before we take public comment? No.
Just one. Back on your regulatory requirement slide, under the Placer County Air Pollution Control District, I think I understand why the facility location says Rockland, California, but I'm not sure why the Phillips Road site says Rockland, California. Isn't Phillips Road all in Roseville? Just a minor point, but you know.
Yeah, that's what's printed on the permit to operate. I'm not sure why it says Phillip Road either. It's
I don't want any.
You're right, but
I don't want Joe Mandel to have to do extra work to clear up a technicality.
That's an interesting one because that's not our address, obviously.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I mean, I get the
But
location is in the unincorporated Rockland.
Correct. Yep.
That zip code, but the facilities, I mean, it's issued to the city of Roseville, Phillips Road, Roseville, California.
Correct.
So
You're correct.
Just let your.
We're actually in a process also of combining all of our permits together so that everything is sort of combined into one. So you notice that's a mailing address for the Roseville Energy Park. So that's where the site's going, or the permit is issued.
And I guess one additional question on the I'll call it the Tron schematic here. What what stays and what goes?
So
What are we?
that little schematic you're looking at there, that's, I put that there because I feel like that's one of the most important factors here. This is actually the selective catalyst reduction system and the oxidation catalyst. So this is the emissions control equipment.
So it's not a layout of the site.
The other one, sorry, I thought you were looking at the little picture on the other one. That is the layout of the new site.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions before we open it up?
Not right now.
Okay, is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this item? Now would be your time to come forward. Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment. And if the council doesn't have any other comments?
I'll have comments. I remember when this plant, our number 2 plant, repower plant, came into existence, and I had the opportunity a few months ago. I said I hadn't seen it in years. Could I go see it? And staff took me there, and it was like deja vu. It's an older plant. It's done well. It's done in emergency time, and it was there, and it's Old Faithful. But to have this opportunity to have this new, the number 2 repower plant, and have this generator be for us and for California for the future is fantastic. Thank you for researching this and working with Department of Water Resources and making this happen after we vote.
Agreed. Thank you, Pauline. Anything else? Okay, well said.
Thank you. So at this time, on item 8.1, the City Council will consider approval of the creation of a new capital improvement project recognized as Roseville Power Plant Number 2 Repower, and adopting Resolution Number 25-082, approving a third amended and restated site and use installation agreement by and between the City of Roseville and the California Department of Water Resources, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville, and adopting Resolution Number 25-083, approving a second amended and restated operations and maintenance agreement by and between the City of Roseville and the California Department of Water Resources, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville, and adopting Resolution Number 25-084, approving a design-build construction agreement by and between Integrated Engineers and Contractors Corporation, doing business as IEC Corporation, and the City of Roseville, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville. And further authorizing the city manager to approve and pay for contract change orders for the design-build construction agreement in an amount not to exceed 5%, and adopting Resolution Number 25-085 of the City Council of the City of Roseville, declaring the city's intention to reimburse expenditures from proceeds of tax-exempt obligations for electric system, and adopting Ordinance Number 6927, which is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Roseville authorizing certain amendments to fiscal year 2024-25 budget, and declaring this ordinance to be immediately effective as an appropriation measure. With that, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Albert.
Yes.
Councilmember Howdeshout?
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci?
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes
Thank you all so
unanimously.
much. It's important for Roseville.
Yeah, very good.
The next item before us is item 8.2, long-term liabilities update, pension and other post-employment benefits. We have our finance team here. Good evening.
Mayor Bernasconi and council members. I'm Dennis Kaufman, Assistant City Manager and Chief Financial Officer, and with me tonight is Scott Pettengill, our Finance Director. This agenda item is an update on the city's long-term liabilities for pensions and other post-employment benefits, or OPEB, which is the medical benefits for city retirees. This update is an important component of the city's budget development process because pension and OPEB are significant employee benefit costs, and their related liabilities are significant on the city's balance sheet. So I'm going to start with an update on pensions, and then Scott will present on the OPEB plan, and he'll wrap us up. So for pensions, like most cities, retirement costs are one of our largest expenses. Pension payments are a legal obligation for cities. The City of Roseville has to pay its contributions to the California Public Employees Retirement System, or CalPERS. Roseville and its employees over the last decade or decade and a half have been very proactive in addressing pension costs in every way that we could. The reduction options that have been offered by the state legislature and by CalPERS have been implemented by Roseville, and the city's employees contribute their full share of the cost based on CalPERS rules. An important factor about pension costs in California is that state law prohibits retroactive benefit reductions. There have been a series of court rulings establishing what they call the California rule, which means that the pension benefit formula that's offered to an employee when they're hired becomes a vested right protected by constitutional contract law. Pension benefits can only be reduced if they are offset by a comparable new benefit, which would erase any meaningful savings. The state legislature back in 2012 passed the Public Employees Pension Reform Act, known as PEPRA, which requires reduced pension benefits for all new employees hired on or after January 1st of 2013. CalPERS recently reported that these reduced pension formulas on average have reduced the annual employer cost of benefits by 39% for miscellaneous employees and 48% for safety employees. CalPERS also introduced smoothing during the Great Recession to gradually increase employer contributions with the goal to fully fund the unfunded liabilities in 30 years and to reduce volatility for employer contributions. And more recently, CalPERS requires employers to pay off new actuarial losses over 20 years instead of 30 years, which will help us reach a higher funded status faster, but also increases the city's contributions significantly. CalPERS actuaries base their calculations for the city's contributions and the liabilities on a variety of assumptions, with the most significant assumption being the investment return or discount rate assumption, which they lowered back in 2021 from 7% to 6.8%. You'd notice here in the fiscal year 23-24 return was 9.5% on the investment portfolio, which was 2.7% above that 6.8% assumption. That was good news. That will increase the funded status of the plan and reduce our pension costs starting in fiscal year 26-27. There's a several-year lag in how the results roll out. CalPERS this year is working on what they call their asset liability management process, which is on a 4-year cycle, and that's where CalPERS revisits all of the assumptions that are used for determining our contributions, including that investment return assumption. We're expecting CalPERS board to take action in November to approve any new assumptions that will be in place for the next 4 years, and city staff will be following their work to see how those changes may impact the city of Roseville in the long term. In the meantime, this table provides data from the 2 most recent actuarial valuations. CalPERS prepares actuarial valuations every year to calculate the city's contributions towards the pension benefits. The normal cost is the portion of the pension contribution for the current year of service provided by employees. In this table, you can see that the PEPRA normal cost rates as a percentage of payroll are significantly lower for the PEPRA groups compared to the classic groups. You can also see that the number of classic employees in the 2 columns to the right is declining as employees retire and are replaced with employees in the PEPRA groups. So the classic numbers are going down and the PEPRA numbers are going up. Based on those 2 most recent CalPERS actuarial valuations, the total cost of pension benefits is estimated to increase next fiscal year by $2.3 million for safety, police and fire, and $3.3 million for miscellaneous, which is all other city employees, resulting in an estimated total increase of $5.6 million, of which approximately $3.2 million is in the general fund. Staff are building these costs into the proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26 right now. The payroll percentage on this slide includes the normal costs that I've been talking about, as well as the required payment to reduce the unfunded accrued liability, which I'll talk about in a few slides. So the costs of providing pensions are funded by contributions from the city as the employer, contributions from employees, and by investment income earned on those accumulated contributions. This table from those 2 most recent actuarial reports summarizes the accrued liability for the miscellaneous employees for services that they have provided in the past. The market value of assets is the total amount invested to pay for that liability, and the unfunded liability is the shortfall that needs to be made up in the future to fund the promised benefits. We see a slight increase in the funded ratio in the bottom row of this table from the most recent actuarial report. For the safety plan, we also see a slight increase in the funded ratio in the bottom row from the most recent actuarial report. And this next slide shows overall the total unfunded liability for CalPERS pensions is $506 million based on the latest actuarial report, and the funded ratio increased slightly from June of 2022 to June of 2023. We'll get the June of 2024 information later this year. This next table presents the CalPERS contribution rates for the current fiscal year, next year, and forecasts 5 years into the future, based on data provided by CalPERS. As you can see, the contribution rate as a percentage of pay continues to increase until fiscal year 28-29. And the reason is that the CalPERS smooths or phases in contribution increases to help employers like the city by providing time for us to adjust to higher contributions and to reduce the contribution volatility. You can see that the contribution rate as a percentage of pay stops increasing or actually decreases for safety in fiscal year 29-30. Of course, all of those forecasted numbers assumes no more changes to the assumptions and assumes that reality will line up with their actuarial assumptions, including that the investments in CalPERS will earn that 6.8% return every year. So this graph we added last year to this presentation. It illustrates a couple key points because we want to remain focused on our long-term financial planning and sustainability. The blue bar in this graph is the safety plan, and the orange bar is the miscellaneous employees. The unfunded accrued liability, or UAL payments, which is what this graph shows, are the payments that the city is required to make each year to pay down the unfunded liability attributable to past years of service for our employees in order to accumulate adequate funding to pay pension benefits. Based on the latest estimates from CalPERS, our contributions are expected to peak in fiscal year 2031. And I think it's important to note, estimates from 5 years ago also showed these payments peaking in 2030, 2031. So this pattern has remained fairly constant every year for the last 5 or 6 years. The other notable event on this graph is the bars on the right-hand side. I mentioned that CalPERS changed its amortization from 30 years to 20 years. And what that means is actuarial losses, like they have in bad investment years, are paid off over 20 years. And so if they have gains, if they have an extra return, we get a credit for 20 years, which we like those better than the losses. Each year adds another layer to that contribution payment schedule. And in this graph, you can see out there on the far right in fiscal year, it's actually 2043, 2044, I see typo. The credit from that 21% investment return from fiscal year 21 goes away, but it's the final year to pay off the negative 7.5% return from 2022, which is why you see that significant one-year increase, and then it goes away. And those significant one-time increases are another reason to maintain the pension trust that we've created, to manage significant increases in our pension contributions from that trust, rather than having to make significant cuts in that 1 year in our budget to fund those additional contributions. The 9.5% return in fiscal year 2024, which was 2.5% above the actuarial assumption, that will result in slightly lower bars across this graph when we get the next actuarial valuation report. A new layer will be added for each year, positive or negative, so staff will continue to update this graph to help us plan both for the near term over the next 5 years as those bars get higher, but also then in the long term as those costs come back down. So I mentioned the Pension Trust Fund. Section 115 is an Internal Revenue Code section that allows establishing a tax-exempt trust for a governmental purpose. The city established a pension trust to set aside additional resources in the general fund to meet future pension contributions and those liabilities. It's irrevocably restricted for pension obligations. The trust can only be used, the trust can be used as a rate stabilization fund to help us balance our budget when we have those budgetary pressures from spikes in the employer contribution rates. And the city established the trust fund with several one-time deposits, and we can contribute more in the future with one-time resources like we have with year-end surplus resources in the general fund. In summary, retirement costs, again, one of our largest expenses. Pension payments are a legal obligation. Benefits can't be reduced under current law. Roseville's done everything that we can in being proactive in addressing these pension costs. The implementation of the PEPRA classification is improving the cost structure for Roseville as classic employees retire and are replaced by PEPRA employees. The City Council has identified reducing the city's pension liability as a goal in its strategic plan. Council has adopted an updated pension funding policy and authorized the Section 115 pension trust as a reserve for future pension cost increases. And staff will continue recommending making additional transfers to that pension trust and making additional discretionary payments to CalPERS with one-time money when opportunities arise. Now I'll turn it over to Scott to present about the other post-employment benefits.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Tonight, I will be providing an update on other post-employment benefits or retiree medical benefits, as Dennis mentioned. So for some background, the city established an OPEB trust fund over a decade ago now to set aside and invest resources to earn investment income to help pay for retiree medical benefits, similar to pensions. To manage those costs, retiree health benefits were reduced for newer employees, and the City Council adopted a policy to fully fund that obligation over 20 years. Every 2 years, an actuary assesses the city's liability and determines contributions needed to pay benefits and increase the plan's funded status. The OPEB funding policy outlines the city's plan to fund retiree medical benefits from operations, and starting next year, as costs now exceed the actuarially determined contribution, the OPEB trust will begin covering a portion of these expenses. Based on the latest information from our actuary, as of June 2024, the city's total OPEB liability is $233 million, and the fiduciary net position, which is the amount of investments in the OPEB trust accumulated to pay for benefits in the future, is $159 million, resulting in a net obligation of $74 million and a funded ratio of 68%. The improved funded status is due to city contributions as well as investment return of just over 12% in fiscal year 24. So in conclusion, staff are developing the fiscal year 26 proposed budget in line with the council's funding policies for both pensions and OPEB. We'll continue to prioritize the council's goal of addressing pension liabilities once our reserve targets are met, and the proposed budget will be available for view in mid-May, with the City Council's budget workshop scheduled for May 28th and adoption on June 18th. So this item is an informational item only, and this concludes our presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that. Does the council have any questions of staff or comments?
Just a comment, I'm glad that we're paying off both parts. And I know that we see how our city's budget is and make a decision according to how we are. So it's just a lot of money you have to pay, but we have a plan.
Yep.
So Dennis, you mentioned that CalPERS is going through and looking at what they call it, the discount rate or the, right? When will they do that in fall of this year?
They've started the process already, and they will have a number of public meetings between now and the fall, and the board is scheduled to take action if they make any changes to the assumptions at their November board meeting.
Okay. There is a transition in economic philosophy right now. They'll take that into consideration?
They, from our review of their board agenda packets, they take everything into consideration. Global, national, local, politics, economics.
Because if they miss that, right, and that's for a 5-year period of time?
4 years.
4-year period of time, then it comes back to municipalities or anyone to have to pay for that, right?
Yes.
So this is a connection between federal economic theory and our ratepayers. Is that fair characterization?
Yes. I would just add that because we're talking about actuarial assumptions, the actuarial professionals intentionally set their assumptions in ways that are fairly consistent over time. They don't make significant adjustments to them based on short-term history. So they look for long-term trends before making adjustments. So that gives me some comfort that we won't see significant changes.
And I hope you'll be able to pull out the question I'm really trying to articulate here. There's some inverse relationship, right? I remember you making a presentation about that. And
I think what you're getting at is the pension benefits are paid by the investment income,
right,
the employee contributions, and the employer contributions.
Right.
And to the extent that the investment income doesn't meet their assumptions, the obligation falls on the employer to make up the difference.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Just want to thank you for underscoring the council's priorities listed in there about paying off debt as quickly as we can for help reduce further obligation. So, okay, so this is information only. We're not going to be taking a vote on this. We appreciate the information.
We're for public comment, too.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Does anyone here tonight want to comment on this item? Now would be your time to come forward. Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Thank you, Joe. Okay, next up, we'll move on to item 9.1, Personnel Board and Senior Commission Unscheduled Vacancy Appointments. We'll have our staff give us a briefing.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I am Katrina Six from the City Clerk Department, here tonight to present the Board and Commission's unscheduled vacancies. Before you tonight, you will be voting on the Personnel Board, and you will be appointing somebody to the Senior Commission. We did only have one application for that vacancy. First up, we are going to be voting on the Personnel Board. You received 2 applications, and you will be appointing 1 member. This is going to be to an unscheduled vacancy term that will expire December 31st, 2026. Before you, you have 2 applications, one from Richard Plucker and one from Sherry Poland. Next slide. You will also be appointing to the Senior Commission. As I stated before, there was only 1 application received, so you will be appointing Linda Richardson Soto to a vacancy term expiring December 31st, 2026. And as we have mentioned in past recruitments, this is due to a consolidation that will be happening at the end of 2026, which will conclude the Senior Commission. It will be joined with the Parks and Recreation and Library Board. So before you tonight, my recommendation is to appoint 1 member to the Personnel Board and to appoint Linda Richardson Soto to fill the vacancy on the Senior Commission. We will go ahead and start with our vote.
I think I need to open up public comment. So is there anyone here tonight that would like to comment on this item? Now would be your time to come forward. Okay, we'll close public comment, and I'll ask the clerk to please proceed with the process.
Thank you. At this time, all of the council members do have their ballots. If you could please make your selection on the ballot and pass the ballot over to me, please. We'll start our vote counts when tally with Councilmember Albert making a selection for Richard Plecker. Sorry. Next, we have Councilmember Haudeshelt selecting Sherry Poland. Next, we have Councilmember Mendoza selecting Sherry Poland. Next, we have Councilmember Rakucci making a selection for Sherry Poland. And lastly, we have our Mayor Bernasconi making a selection for Sherry Poland. With that, we have 4 votes for Sherry Poland and 1 for Plecker. That being the case, Ms. Poland is going to be the person selected to be appointed for the Personnel Board Commission. And-
Motion on that now, or
I'm sorry?
do you want the motion now?
I'm going to make the motion based on that. So on item 9.1, the City Council will consider making the appointment of Sherry Poland to the Personnel Board and appointing Linda Richardson Soto to the Senior Commission. Each of these members will be appointed to a term expiring December 31st, 2025. If I can get a motion to make those appointments and approval.
6, I think, right? Just to clear. I think it's 2026, right?
Yes, I'm sorry, 2026. I'm looking at it, just read it wrong. Thank you for that. It is December 31st, 2026. Thank you.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Albert.
Yes.
Councilmember Haudeshelt.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci. And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Carmen. And congratulations. On to item 10.1, it is a public hearing for the Housing Authority 5-year plan and fiscal year 25-26 annual plan. I'll open the public hearing and invite the staff to start with the presentation. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm Tricia Isom, Housing Manager with the Economic Development Department, and tonight I have Susie Cook-Turner, who's going to be giving you our presentation.
Good evening, members of the Housing Authority Board. Tonight, I will be presenting the Housing Authority's annual and 5-year plans for fiscal years 2025-2026 and 2025-2030. All housing authorities must submit an agency plan, which includes a 5-year plan and an annual plan. The 5-year plan outlines RHA's goals in serving the cities of Roseville and Rockland while administering the Housing Choice Voucher Program through the years 2025-2030. The annual plan follows the progression of the 5-year plan. Roseville Housing Authority's annual plan is due to HUD each year by April 15th. The draft annual plan and 5-year plans are required to have a 45-day public comment period, which was noticed on February 14th, 2025, and closes tonight, April 2nd. To date, staff has not received any comments from the Resident Advisory Board or the public regarding this item. Roseville Housing Authority's 2025 to 2030 5-year plan goals are shown here. We continually apply for additional vouchers in order to expand the supply of assisted housing. RHA applied for and was awarded 20 Foster Youth Initiative vouchers in 2024. These FYI vouchers are for young adults 18 to 24 coming out of the foster care system. The FYI voucher enables foster youth to receive housing subsidy to prevent or end homelessness. These voucher participants come to us referred by Placer County Health and Human Services Children's System of Care and other transitional age youth nonprofit agencies. In order to improve the quality of assisted housing, RHA has awarded project-based vouchers to several developers who develop affordable housing. RHA was able to lease 16 of these project-based units in the new Prospera at Fitment Apartments complex. We also have awarded 8 PPV vouchers to Sunrose Apartments, where they have started the process of leasing the newly renovated units. 4 of those units will be reserved for FASH project-based vouchers, ensuring that 4 veteran families will have a place to call home and will be able to receive wraparound services to help keep them housed. Later this summer, RHA, along with Mercy Housing, will begin leasing the Pleasant Grove Apartments, which has 8 project-based voucher units. The site will have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom PPV units. RHA continues to collaborate with the Housing Division and reserve funds to provide legal services through Project Sentinel for those experiencing housing discrimination. Each year, Project Sentinel facilitates a fair housing training for landlords, tenants, and housing advocates to attend and learn about existing and new housing law. Lastly, RHA actively collaborates with Northern California housing authorities, including the Placer County Housing Authority, to enhance the administration of various voucher programs, including the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. RHA is committed in engaging with regional housing authorities to ensure alignment across HCV programs and to streamline processes for greater efficiency. RHA has a leasing percentage of 94% compared to the nation's average of 86.23%. As you can see, special voucher types make up 30% of RHA's voucher portfolio. All but one of the voucher programs shown on this slide are special vouchers, which are geared towards homeless, vulnerable groups who are housing vulnerable groups who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. RHA intends to continue to apply for special voucher programs and work with our local advocates to ensure they receive the assistance necessary to remain housed. RHA has been able to maintain its high performer status for the 20th year. HUD awards the high performer label when a housing authority achieves high scores on assessments and maintaining high success rates. Roseville Housing Authority was delighted to celebrate its 50th year anniversary. The day was about celebrating and honoring successful program participants, the agencies we collaborate with, and RHA staff, which has provided affordable and safe housing for residents since 1980. Without them, none of these accomplishments would be possible. Since the Landlord Incentive Program was established in 2023, RHA has paid out $155,000 in incentive payments. Because of its success, Roseville Housing Authority has acquired 68 brand-new landlords to the program since 2023, allowing for 148 new admission and port-in families to lease units in Roseville and Rockland with a voucher. Roseville Housing Authority began its partnership and participation with Placer County's Work Experience, or WEX program. This program pairs individuals who are receiving public assistance, CalWorks, and allows them to receive on-the-job training and experience, which will help them gain employment and eliminate the need for dependence on public assistance. We are happy to announce that the program has been so successful for us that we offered employment to our WEX participant, and she is now officially a City of Roseville employee. We encourage other city departments to take part in this worthwhile and rewarding program opportunity. It's been another successful year for RHA's Family Self-Sufficiency Program. 2024 saw 4 families graduate from the program with over $34,500 in escrow funds. We continue to enroll more families in the program and look forward to enrolling participants from the Foster Youth Initiative Program to give them an opportunity for an early start and to strive for self-sufficiency. Tonight, staff recommends that the Housing Authority Board receive public comment on these items and adopt the resolution authorizing the submittal of the fiscal year 2025-2026 annual plan and the 2025 through 2035 year plan to HUD. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Does the council have any questions for staff? No. Okay. I'll open it up to public comment. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to this item? Now would be your time to come forward. Okay, I'll close public comment. Close the public hearing, and if the council has anything else to add,
Just appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that information.
Mayor, I just had a comment. It's just really nice to see that not only having housing for people, we have the education and help them maintain the housing and understand. You know, I'm just thinking a kid out of foster care, or even my children, and they're only 18 and out in the world. it's really pretty scary out there, and all the help that they can get to help them be a young man and woman in our society right now and making it and getting a job is very admirable. It's actually wonderful. Really happy to see that.
Agreed. And this will be a topic for us next week when we're in Washington, D.C. on our advocacy program, too, with the housing officials. Okay.
Thank you. On item 10.1, the City Council, acting as the Board of Directors to the Roseville Housing Authority, will consider adopting Resolution Number 1-25 of the Housing Authority of the City of Roseville, authorizing the Executive Director to submit the Roseville Housing Authority 5-year plan and annual for fiscal year 2025-26 to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise recognized as HUD, along with all the required certifications, disclosures, and related documents. With that, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Haudashelt.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci and Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Susie and Tricia. All right, we'll have our last public comment of the evening. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to any item that's not on the agenda? Close public comment. Do our city attorney or city manager have any comments to add?
No further reports, Mayor. Me either. Thank you.
Thank you. And what about council report outs? Any comments? Anyone want to start us off?
Sure. So after our last city council meetings, the SACOG Board of Directors met in Rockland, started with a bus tour and some donuts. Always good. Number 1 on Yelp, I understand. So anyway, our Placer County Transportation Planning Agency met and reviewed its federal and state legislative platforms. Tomorrow, SACOG's Transportation Committee meets. Saturday is the Tommy Apostolos dinner. That's what I have.
That's true. Thank you.
Tracy, I don't know if you're going to talk about law and regulations.
You can cover it. I was
Okay, I
going
know.
to cover it if you didn't.
We're both at the meeting this month and got some reports from our staff from several departments who are watching state and federal policy and how it influences what's happening at the local level. So no action taken, but it was good to hear that we're paying attention because there's a lot of changes happening right now around us. So it's really nice and I think reaffirming to know that our staff are on top of those. Other than that, I don't really have any other comments tonight.
Okay.
I had the opportunity, along with several of my fellow council members, to attend the Lyman's Rodeo Award Banquet on Saturday. It was really great to see a lot of the hard work that these men and women do acknowledged. We had several local recipients as well as other cities as far as Turlock that received recognition and awards for their outstanding times and difficult talents that they did during the day on Saturday for the rodeo. And then I also was joined by several of my other council members at the annual electeds dinner that was held out in Lincoln at their airport in one of the new hangars that was built out there. And it was interesting to hear about the development going on out there and just get an opportunity to meet with a lot of our other regional electeds and collaborate and share ideas. And so that's always a good thing. And then Vice Mayor Alvord mentioned the law and regulatory. We met, and then we stand recessed until the third Thursday of next month, where we'll have additional updates from staff on other regulatory items. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay.
I just have a couple of committees. This afternoon, I came back from our NACWA meeting, and it's the Northern California Water Association, and it was held, we usually go to different areas just to see how water is affecting them, and a lot of these people may have small cities, but they have a lot of rural acreage in them also. So we actually were in Solano County Water Agency. It was in Vacaville, and just like many of them, I'll mention a couple others, but the bottom line that we're all really doing is among other things, is checking to see how legislation from at the state and federal level is affecting our city, and how we have staff that are at the state capitol and working with different legislators on issues, so they know what effect for affordability for our community. And that goes with NACWA, which we went over things with staff, also with Northern California Power Association. And this is the same thing, but a lot of electrical advocacy, but it's also related to bottom line, how much it costs us, and how we could work here in the future. Let me see. And another meeting went to a Placer County Water and City meeting, and looking at some of the projects that we're working on together, and also again looking at what's how we can work with the state on some of the things that are looking to be passed, or regulations that may come into play, but sometimes making comments on them ahead of time and making them a better bill than maybe that's out there. And I think many of us also, this is a little bit different, not a committee, but the Lions Club celebrated their 100-year anniversary, and so they had a couple different events, and I know some of the other council members had gone to it also, and so it's nice recognizing the Lions for a lot of the work that they do in helping nonprofits and helping our community over the years. They're can-do type people. Thank you.
Yeah, we've all been very busy, it sounds like. So a few recaps of committees and community events. Melissa from our Economic Development Department, we attended a Greater Sacramento hosted Psych Selectors dinner a couple weeks ago at the Crocker Art Museum, and I think that was the kickoff to several days that our economic development team spent with them, and I'm sure that was a fruitful gathering. We spoke with people at our table from Florida and the East Coast and all over. Many of them had never been to Roseville before, so we were really selling it hard that night. We all attended the fire department promotion and graduation last week.
Forgot that.
The laterals, I know, but it's really fun stuff.
Thank you for saying it.
That was really great. We had most all the lateral transfers in graduating from the academy now, and then the promotion, which included our new fire chief. I was asked to speak to the Urban Land Institute Young Leaders Group last week, probably 20 of them, just in the mayor's role about what the city does, and young leaders, 25-year-old, 30-year-olds who really want to engage in the community. Tracy, you did mention the city-county dinner that we hosted. Last Friday, I gave out certificates to 15 Sun City residents who went through their leadership program. I think that program's probably 4 or 5 years old now, but they're an engaged group. There's 5,000 residents and 3,000 homes out there, and they had 15 that go through the program. One of the committees I sit on is the Roseville Police Activities League. They had their golf tournament last Friday. They had, I think, about 16 or 17 teams. It was a really great turnout, great fundraiser for youth in our community. This morning was a joint government relations meeting of the Rockland, Roseville, Auburn, Lincoln Chambers of Commerce, where our supervisor, Bonnie Gore, spoke about, actually she gave her state of the county there. Tomorrow morning is the Sear College gym opening that we've been invited to, and I'll attend, and also a Kids First luncheon, another charity fundraiser, fashion show tomorrow for lunch. So I was asked to go in and pick out 2 outfits from Macy's to borrow. They're a sponsor of that, so that'll be my day tomorrow. And then next week, a number of us are traveling to Washington, D.C. on the advocacy trip. When we get back, we'll have the Weber Park rededication on April 12th that we will attend. The Mayor's Cup, hopefully you guys have it in your calendar, but if just come by in the morning, check-in is at 10 a.m. April 25th. It is sold out. Shotgun starts at noon, and if you want to come by for dinner, it's at 6 o'clock. So I think that wraps up.
Somewhere in there you got to sit down with Mark Haney, because I got an email.
Oh, yeah. Yes. They, yes, I did do that.
About balancing.
Yeah, I know, I'm reading all that. I'm not sure how I balance all of it, but.
Sure how you did it either.
But we will meet back as a council April 16th. That's right before Easter, 6 p.m. So I'll adjourn the meeting until then.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you all.